My question for you is Kirk's career over in Atlanta, or does it still depend on the play of Penix?
All right, everybody, welcome back. Episode 3 here of the Borderline Sports Podcast. Got my co-host here, TD. How are we doing today?
Doing great, doing great. Ready to get into it here.
Let's kick it off, dude. Let's get into it. So, let's start this week. New little segment we got called Winners and Losers. Just kind of talking about who won the week, who lost the week. So, why don't you start us off and explain who you had for your winner and your loser?
All right, so my winner for this week is the Milwaukee Bucks. They won the NBA Cup this week, and they started the season off very rough and are now back to the fifth seed in the East. So they've battled back, put on a great performance in this new NBA Cup format. Yeah, I mean, you got to be pretty pumped, I'd say. Are you
Yeah,
gonna hang? Are you gonna hang a banner?
I don't know. I think they might. I mean, just based on how the Lakers reacted last year, that was their championship trophy. It was pretty cool though to see them. They struggled a lot at the beginning of the year. Um, I honestly wasn't even following the NBA Cup that much, and I saw they were in the quarterfinals about a week or two ago, and yeah, it was a nice surprise, but nice to see them back on the right track without Chris Middleton too. So
For sure. And yeah, just back to this game. I mean, and just the Bucks overall looks like Giannis and Dame finally have some chemistry going together. They're playing well while they're on the court together. I mean, you guys held SGA and Jalen Williams to a combined 16 of 44 from the field. So I don't know, if the lights were too bright for the Thunder or what, but or if your defense is really legit. But congrats to you guys, and you know you get to hang a banner for the NBA Cup. So
yeah, I
uh,
think it is kind of cool. Some of the courts, some of the red teams, the courts look ridiculous, but I went to like one of the Bucks games where they, had the NBA Cup court and I don't know, something different for the fans too. So
for sure, who'd you have for a winner for this week?
I took the both the Raiders and the Falcons. Raiders because they tried to win that game, still ended up losing, so they're still in line for the first pick, which sounds like Shador is kind of who they're looking at. So they won. Falcons also won because they snuck by, managed to win, but they looked so bad that Michael Penix is going to get a chance to play. So excited to see what he can do. They have a ton of talent, around him. Bijan, Drake London, Pitts. Um, there's playmakers there. So I think he's in a really good situation and, just getting the reps. They're not out of it completely, but it seems like they're kind of throwing in the towel and, trying to give their franchise quarterback of the future some new chances. So excited for him to see how he plays. What do you think the biggest loser this week was?
Yeah, so for me, my biggest loser of the week was I have the Dolphins just because they're all but dead. Tua looked terrible in the game. I don't know why the hell they kept running those screen passes that just obviously weren't working. Couldn't get anything going. Tua threw three picks. And I saw a tweet from Tyreek Hill that says like something about "I'm done, coach." So, or "take me out, coach," or something like that. Don't really love to see that, but I think there's a lot of frustration over there and confusion on whether Tua is like, is he tough enough? Is he good enough to lead the Dolphins to like a Super Bowl ever, or even a AFC playoff or championship game? In my opinion, I think it might be time to move on, look towards the future. Definitely, I think you got to fire. Someone's got to go. I mean, probably the head coach, McDaniels. But I think it was fun while it lasted. I just think there's some deep rooted issues there that if they don't fix them now, they're just going to be trying to put a band-aid over that stuff for the next 4 to 5 years. And then I also had the Bears, just because. I mean, Monday night, dude, like it just becomes sad to watch. It really is like sad to watch. And, me as a Vikings fan, I know you as a Packers fan, you hate the Bears. You love to beat up on the Bears. I've never really had anything like too hateful against the Bears. You know, they've been okay in the past. You know, they've been to a Super Bowl in the last 20 years, but um, or no, have they been to a Super Bowl? Or maybe
Yeah,
just
they
yeah,
got
yeah,
beat
they
by
went
the
to one
Colts. Yeah.
with Grossman, right? Yeah. So, but I mean, other than that, just no success. And in this game, Caleb Williams just, I mean, he looks literally defeated. He looks broken. He looks lost, and that's not what you want to see out of a rookie. Like I heard Troy Aikman talking about it, and you know he's like, you know, I looked worse than Caleb my first year. I think they lost like 11 games in a row or something. I can't remember what he was talking about. He's like, I had no confidence. All my confidence was gone. And I could see that, but in this day and age with like social, like I could see, you know, Caleb bouncing back, but with this day and age with social media and just, you know, all the hate that I'm sure he's getting and everyone second guessing him every step he has, you know, you got to wonder if he's going to be able to get this out of his head next year and come back and just get back to his roots of what made him so exciting and got him to be the number one pick. But yeah, I mean the Bears are a disaster, just an absolute disaster, and it's just a really sad game to watch. So that
Yeah,
was my loser.
talking about the Dolphins for a second too, they're just kind of in hell. Like they have some playmakers. They can't seem to get them the ball, whether it's like an offensive line thing, whether it's a scheme thing. Like Tyreek has been a complete non-factor this year. I know Waddle's been banged up a little bit, but still, like last year, those guys were, it seemed like, they were good for a couple 20, 30 yarders every game. Just way more dynamic. So they're struggling on an offensive line. They're struggling on a defensive line. They're right in the middle too, where they're not going to be able to get, a top 10 player in the draft. Um, so it's kind of grim over there. They're old on defense. Jalen Ramsey's fucking 50 years old. So just doesn't, future's not bright there. And they're just kind of, they were banking on making the playoffs this year, I think, and trying to do something with basically the same core they had last year that, was a couple points away from really having a chance to go with the AFC Championship. So they suck. Bears also suck. I totally agree with you. And again, don't know what their problem is. I mean, it's got to be offensive line related. Caleb looks all right some games, looks horrible the others. I think it is, confidence related. So I don't know what the next step is. I saw Vrabel might go there, so I guess if they get him. Um, could be good for his confidence, but
Let me ask you this: on like his fade routes into the end zone or his deep, you know, just go routes, why is he like, is it just an accuracy issue or is he just trying to overthrow him because he's like so nervous about getting hit? Like every time he has a deep ball, it looks like it sails over the receiver's head by 10 to 15 yards. And it's like not even close. Like he's not
yeah,
even giving the receiver a chance for a jump ball. And I know he doesn't want to throw a pick, but dude, like sometimes you got to get the ball in play, dude. You know, like it
yeah.
doesn't seem like he throws that many picks, but
I think it's a
I
lot. I think it's the offensive line, dude.
yeah,
He's just not comfortable back there. I saw one clip of him running around. He literally hurdled nobody in the backfield. It was so weird to watch. I just don't think the speed. I think the speed of the NFL plus the lack of an offensive line is just a nightmare for him. Like in college, I watched a ton of USC. He was a, run around back there, find somebody. You don't really have that in the NFL when everyone is, elite. So, um,
true.
and those
Yeah.
Pac-12 defenses are kind of a joke for the most part. So, scramble drill is not the same in the NFL as it is in college. But um, wrapping that up, I thought the biggest loser this week was for sure the Lions. Um, not in the spot to control their destiny anymore for the one seed. I think the Eagles are going to overtake them. Personally, they have a really easy schedule. Um, I mean, they play the Commanders this week, who they should beat, and then I think they got the Cowboys and the Giants. So Eagles probably win out. Um, Lions, without Montgomery, without anybody on defense, they're just not the same team they were to start the year. So we'll see, how they can bounce back. Their coach, again, Dan Campbell, idiot, onside kick. Um, I told you, I've been saying it forever. He's going to coach them out of the playoffs. Um, so I guess time will tell, but happy to see, you know, it'll be a good end of the season too. I think they go to the Vikings for their final game, or they're at home against the Vikings. But
I think it's at home against the Vikings because we played them at home first. But
so
yeah,
either way, that last game of the year, it has a lot of potential, if the Lions
yeah,
slip up to kind of be, the NFC division. But yeah, we'll see how that plays out. But I just thought dude, they're cooked. They're not who they started. So
yeah. I mean, you don't get me wrong. Like, I'd still, I still like have some concern about him just because that offense I mean, Goff's playing. He threw 5 touchdowns in
mhm.
that game, but it's just like they have so many chances because their defense just puts them right back on the field every time by letting other people score. So, I mean, obviously, you're going to put up numbers on offense if you have players. But yeah, I mean, the main concern is the defense. They just got a bunch of no names out there now. Lost another guy on their D line, I think.
Gonna do a new segment this week as well. Just clip of the week. We're gonna show you what we thought was either interesting, funny, stupid. Um, so this is the worst
Uh,
shot I've ever seen, dude.
that is, yeah, no, that's a bad shot. John Collins in the corner misses it.
That has he.
The zero on the fucking Euro. Haven't seen that before. May have been a travel. Um, and I do like Markkinen, but what
Yeah,
is that finger roll?
I think he thought he was gonna get hit. That's the only thing I like. He thinks this guy is gonna come in and 24 there is gonna hit him and just doesn't. So the Jazz are 5-20 this year. That's the second worst in the NBA. Only better than the Pelicans. So, Utah Utah needs some players down there. I mean, Markkanen's been playing well, but outside of him, it's tough. So I thought this was just hilarious. I had the Broncos by
Game
4
or
in this
quarterback
game.
run game.
They set up Mitchell's going to be a double pass, and that one is intercepted. It's Bonito.
What are
So
we
yeah.
doing here?
Okay.
Ye-
Also, that ball goes forward, so
So
that play was
yeah,
broken
that was
from the
mine. I
beginning.
thought it was hilarious. Like I said, as a Broncos better there, I was happy to see it, but um they're just the worst trick play team of all time, in my opinion. The Colts are they never do it right. So um thought that
Yeah.
was funny. So um
Yeah, that's a tough look. They're not even in a position to be doing trick plays because they need to learn how to do the basics first. At least Anthony Richardson's gotta improve. Even though he hits those big plays, but every easy throw, every middle, yeah, medium throw, he's sketchy. So I'd say get those down first, and then maybe we can try the double lateral 3 years from now. Maybe put it back in.
yeah. So let's move into some of the big headlines from this last week. I mean, we kind of touched on Cousins getting benched. One touchdown, 9 interceptions last five. I mean, the Falcons look like they were, gonna have a cakewalk to the NFC South, especially with, Godwin's out. Evans was out for a few games. Bucks don't play any D for the most part. Um, but Baker kind of willed them. So that was kind of the one big one NFL wise. Some big news there. Uh, saw Travis Hunter win the Heisman. I thought that was, a given almost just with the media push there. What do you think about it? Was you like Genty there, or who you think they
No,
made the
I,
right
I like I
choice?
like Hunter. I like Hunter for sure. I mean, he deserves it. The amount of snaps this dude plays and the numbers that he puts up are fucking incredible. I think Genty's good. I very good, obviously, but I think I mentioned this like a couple podcasts ago. The numbers that Genty put up, like they keep saying that these are, like record breaking, numbers, but really, there has been like five running backs in the last, maybe 10 years or so that have put up very similar numbers, even like a Melvin Gordon for the Badges back in the day. But
Yeah, my
um,
thing though is Genty pretty much got them to the playoffs. If this was like an MVP I understand it's a Heisman, it's not necessarily an MVP, but in terms of most valuable, I think without him, Boise are definitely not in the spot they're in. It'll be a real big, I think he's gonna come out when they play the winner of SMU Penn State. So I think he's gonna come out really, annoyed. He's just a down to earth dude too. Like he showed up to the ceremony and the Boise stuff. Thought that was really cool. It's not a he's not an all eyes on me type of guy. And I'm not saying Travis Hunter is, but just be playing for Colorado and Dion, you get that whether you want it or not. So I just
Yeah.
think it'd be fun to watch Genty, try to backpack him through the playoffs. So um
Yeah, for sure. And I agree with that. I mean, Genty, I think maybe there's some, it's in the Mountain West division, so I think maybe they took a little bit of that into consideration just based on the opponents he's playing. But yeah, he carried them the whole way. So, it is very impressive.
and
I
I've
do,
heard that argument, but what he did against Oregon was, nothing short of spectacular. He went for 192 and 3 touchdowns. Like that's the number one team in the nation. So, you
true.
know, do they play in the Mountain West? Yes. Did he still backpack them in their toughest games? Yes. So at the end of the day, it's definitely not an easy choice. We're talking about a two-way player that played above average on both sides or, a running back that plays in a weak conference, but did everything he could have done to, put his name on the map and finish second. So the last one kind of, the big one of the week was, do you think the Lions are still able to make a run? No Montgomery. Defense is really, hindered. And we've talked about their coach at length, but what do you think there? Do you think they're still, the big dog in the NFC, or is that move to someone like the Eagles?
I would say no. Yeah. I mean, I would say the Eagles and the Vikings, maybe even the Packers. I mean, NFC North is still, remains to be determined. So if the Lions are able to get it together, they could still be the favorite coming out of the North. I don't really see it anymore though. Just their defense is so bad, and Dan Campbell's now making all these rash decisions, like you said, that onside kick, going for it on every fourth down he can get his hands on, and yeah, without Montgomery now, I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs is he's super sick, but it was a two-headed monster before, which I think it's going to have an impact. We'll see how much, but I'm not even sure who their third string is, but I'm sure he will probably play a factor a little bit here. Obviously, you have Jahmyr Gibbs though, but yeah, it was a two-headed monster that when one is even slightly tired, you throw the other one in. Just I can basically switch on and off on drives, but
Yeah,
what do you think?
I think their power running game is going to take a big hit. Montgomery was really that guy for him. Um, you know, like to go for it on fourth down. They like to give him the ball, run it up the middle. They have a really good offensive line. Um, their backup now is Craig Reynolds, who he seems like a little bit of a power back. But is he going to be able to replace the production of Montgomery? And is Jahmyr Gibbs going to be able to, establish himself between the tackles because that was the Lions, bread and butter. They'd wear you down there. Um, and then they'd put Jahmyr in to kind of stretch you out, so he's not going to be fresh to do that. Um, so I don't know. That'll be interesting. And also, I mean, they can put up points still. I'm not worried about their offense, but are they going to be able to, if they're the 2 seed, are they going to be able to go on the road in the cold and do that? I don't know. They always play super well at home, but that's the dome and a lot can happen. Go to Philly, say it's snowing, say it's 10 degrees out. Um, Jameer's not Montgomery. Like he's not going to be able to take those hits from the big players and get back up and just, keep wanting to do it. So I think they definitely took a fall. Um, I think they're still, as of right now, the second best team in the NFC, after the Eagles, but um, last 3 games will mean a lot, especially can they get through them healthy and not have anyone else go down. So, all right. So let's get to our one takeaway, one thought from the NFL last week. Thursday night game, Rams 12, Niners 6. What's your thought?
Yeah, this was a terrible game. The Niners offense did not look good. I mean, neither offenses looked good, but I do think the Rams are kind of a sneaky dark horse in the playoffs here if they're able to make it.
Yeah, I guess for me it was, the Rams only scoring 12 points. They looked really good last week. Kind of came back down to earth. I mean, the Niners D is decent, but something to watch for going forward. Next game we got Chiefs 21, Browns 7. What do you think there?
Yeah, high ankle sprain for Mahomes. We'll see how things play out there, but this is typical of him. Like I said, mentioned earlier in December, or late in the season, he seems to have a high ankle sprain. But Jameis is done. I mean, he's not done. He's just a backup quarterback. He doesn't have a chance in this league with his turnovers as a starter. So.
Yeah, I saw, Jameis going out, DTR in, really limits, everyone on that Browns offense going forward. At least Jameis could, get him the ball a little bit. Next game, Bengals 37, Titans 27. What you thought?
Joe Burrow, he's unreal. He should be an MVP favorite, but it's too little, too late. Their defense sucks. How about
Yeah,
you?
Bengals D, that's what I saw. Giving 27 up to the Titans. Just, their hodgepodge of players they got on offense. I saw Levis got benched too, so just giving up 27 to them is not a good look. Next game, Commanders 20, Saints 19. What you thought?
Yeah, the Commanders continue to win, but semi unconvincingly. They're going to get a playoff spot. I think it's almost all but guaranteed. However, I think they're going to get knocked out in the first round wild card. How about you?
Agreed. I just had, the clock issue that happened at the end of the game allowed the Saints to score again. That the line I saw was between 6.5 to 7. I know it was at 7.5 right before snap, but that was a lot of money changing over on people that had the Commanders by 6.5 there with that last second touchdown. Was that?
Let's pause on that for a second because that was very confusing. I mean, it wasn't like the clock stopped. It was like it paused and then sped back up. Like, what was the ref's explanation for that? They just said they screwed up, right?
Yeah, the dude on the field signaled for it to stop. The guy upstairs did his job, stopped it. Um, I guess I've seen different videos where, people were counting it down and there's still 1 second left anyways. I think they had four on it. So, did it actually matter a ton? I don't know for certain, but it was definitely weird and it caused a lot of commotion on Twitter and just in the circles I've seen it in. So that was
Yeah,
it was interesting to say the least.
very frustrating for bettors, like you mentioned.
Ravens 35, Giants 14. What'd you think?
Lamar was incredible in this game. If you had him in fantasy, good for you. This was obvious domination by them, though. That's all I got.
Yeah, I mean Giants, they don't know what they're doing at QB. Tim Boyle's in. I saw a stat where Tim Boyle had one touchdown and 12 interceptions in his last year at Connecticut. So it makes you wonder how he's even in the league, let alone, he's been a backup for like 8 to 10 years. So good for him. But the fleece continues. Next,
Alex Moran, dude.
all right, next game, 30 for the Cowboys, 14 for the Panthers. What'd you think?
Yeah, Cowboys look decent as of late, and the Panthers, there's still hope there for Bryce Young, but the moral victories aren't really coming right now. He doesn't look great.
Yeah, I'm too little too late for the Cowboys. I saw Cooper Rush kind of playing, a lot better. It's really interesting if you look at the records of him when he comes in for Dak versus Dak. Might surprise some people. Is it really, a problem with the Cowboys that Dak Prescott is getting $200 million and can't win football games, but Cooper Rush can? Questions to ask themselves. Next game, Jets 32, Jags 25. What's your takeaway?
Yeah, good moral victory for the Jets. Too little, too late. The offense looked good. Like you said, Devontae has kind of been going crazy these last couple weeks, and him and Rodgers clearly have a chemistry there. So maybe Rodgers will be back next year on the Jets. Not sure yet.
Yeah, I just leave it to the Jets, to win when they couldn't win any games all year, and now they're going to win these games. Granted, it's the Jags team that's horrible, but Devontae was playing really well. He still has a little bit of burst. He had a breakaway touchdown good to see. Always going to like that guy. So happy to see him succeed. We got Texans 20, Dolphins 12. What do you take away there?
Yeah, I think the Dolphins need to rethink their future as far as their quarterback and their head coach. I think it might be time for a rebuild, unfortunately. I think this team is the softest team in the NFL, and I don't know how they would ever win 3 playoff games. So why not start fresh?
Yeah. I just thought bye bye Dolphins. They're out of the playoffs. McDaniels, bye bye. Um, and maybe even Greer, their GM, might be gone. And maybe even Tyreek. So, a lot of questions there. It's not a good time to be, down in South Florida. Broncos 31, Colts 13. What do you take away?
I think the Broncos, their defense holds them in games, and Bo Nix can make plays. I think he had a pretty bad game in this one, but I do think they are a sneaky dark horse to at least make some noise in the playoffs. I'm not saying they're going to win anything, but I think they could win a playoff game.
Yeah. I guess, the game started off really close. Like you said, they struggled turning the ball over. Defense played really well. I mean, they're elite on defense. But I guess my question is, who could they beat? That's going to make the playoffs. I don't know off the top of my head anyone in the AFC. I mean, they're not going to be favored over anyone. So just interesting to keep an eye on, how they if they make the playoffs, one, and who they'd play. I think right now it looks like they're slotted to play the Steelers. So, the Steelers are not a good matchup for them at all. Um, I think they're better off against a team that's got a, high-powered offense, that
Hmm.
they can shut down with their D, and then just hope Bo Nix can do enough. So, maybe if they get the Texans, I might
That's
like
what I'm
them over the
thinking.
Texans, but as
Sure.
of right now, that's not the case. Um, just kind of a couple more games. Talk about a little bit more in depth, better games this week. Um,
Hmm.
Bills 48, Lions 42. I guess what'd you take away there and overall
For
thoughts?
For sure, yeah. I mean, this was an onslaught of offense. Absolutely no defense played in this game. I do think the score is a little misleading. Bills really dominated, and what the hell is Dan Campbell doing with that onside kick? I've heard this talked about quite a bit. Like, if the if you were able to do a onside kick without the other team knowing, but you can't fake a regular kickoff and do an onside anymore. So, it was clearly obvious. He ran it. I think it was Matt Collins ran it back to the 5 yard line. I don't think he quite got it into the end zone, but Dan Campbell, these Lions, I don't know. They're kind of falling off here. A lot of problems, a lot of injuries. So Josh Allen's still MVP though. That's kind of my takeaway from this game. What about you?
Yeah, agreed. Allen is the MVP. I know Lamar's been playing really well, but just the way Allen, really backpacks that offense. They're not outside of him. If you put a different quarterback in there, are they the same? Definitely not. Um, up in Baltimore, I mean, you could give the ball to Derrick Henry 40 times a game and still score. So that's kind of what I see with them. Lions made it close at the end, never really was overhit in the first half, basically. It was a given. The Bills almost put up, I think it was 54. They put up 48 themselves, so um, offense looks good. I mean, the Lions have nobody on defense still, but when you're the Bills, you got to go out and win those games to make a statement, and they did. Back to that onside kick, I looked down for 2 seconds. I saw, next thing you know, the Bills are scoring another touchdown right after that, and I was so confused what had happened. But Dan Campbell being Dan Campbell, um, good luck, Lions fans in the playoffs. He's going to do something. I know they like to rally around him because he brought him back, built a culture. But um, when does the magic run out, basically? So
Hmm.
I just don't
Hmm.
see him making the splash that they should. So
It's an unfortunate thing too, because from before the season started, they were Super Bowl favorites to at least make it, and now it seems like their magic perhaps has run out. And it's just injuries, shit that happens in football. It sucks, but it's coming back. And yeah, Dan Campbell's decision making is starting to bite them in the ass here.
I know a couple weeks ago too, the betting line favorites to make the Super Bowl were it was Lions Bills were the was the matchup. So, maybe that was a Super Bowl preview. If the Lions can overcome some injuries, but it was a fun game to watch at least. Next afternoon game, Eagles 27, Steelers 13. Kind of what you think about that one?
Yeah, I mean, I think the score again in this game might be a little bit misleading. There's a couple bad turnovers by the Steelers. That fumble by Najee Harris on, that pitch was not good. That screwed him over a little bit. The Eagles defense is definitely they have come all the way back from the start of the season. They really have started to rally around their D coordinator and they look like the favorite to come out of the NFC. It's definitely they're a scary team, man, because they don't have to throw the ball in order to win. Like Jalen Hurts doesn't even really have to do that much because they have Saquon Barkley. If you can stop Saquon, um, I think you have a chance to beat them if you force them to throw the ball. But I'd also be just there's just honestly, I need to apologize as well to Eagles fans. I really roasted them last week for Jalen Hurts not being able to throw the ball, and he did come out and look better this week, and he did. AJ Brown had a good game, so and I do have them as my number one in power rankings. So they're definitely a scary team. But yeah, I think this game is a little misleading as far as the score goes. Russell Wilson didn't play as bad as it looked. So. What about
Yeah,
you?
I said it last week. It was a really good test for the Eagles against a great run defense and to see, if they could throw the ball, in fact. So Jalen Hurts, he did throw the ball. On the other hand, Barkley was shut down, 19 carries, 65 yards. Um, is there a team in the NFC that can play that type of defense like the Steelers? I'm not sure. It'll be interesting to say the least. On the other hand, too, Steelers, that fumble costed them a lot. Not having George Pickens costed them a lot. It was a really good game. Just fun to watch, two in-state rivals kind of duke it out. But I think it wasn't super surprising without that Najee fumble. It's a, one score game. And, if they could have got anything out of Russ, it would have been Steelers had a chance to win it. But Eagles took care of business. With the Lions loss, moved into a tie for first place, and I think they do have the tiebreaker. So as it stands, Eagles are the one seed with a really easy remaining schedule. So um, don't see that changing. Another game this afternoon didn't get any of my attention was the Cards 30, Patriots 17. Just give me a quick takeaway you had there.
I think we need to go in depth on this one. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, Drake May continues to look solid. However, his receivers suck. That's my takeaway.
Yeah, James Conner was, a beast in this one. I'm not saying much going against Patriots D, but Patriots just continue to lose. Hopefully get that guy some weapons because he is, he's competent back there. All right, so another afternoon game. Um, Bucks 40, Chargers 17. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, Baker's playing out of his mind this year. He's still turning the ball over a little bit, but he is having a really incredible season. I think if they had a better record, he would have even more of a say for MVP, but you got Josh Allen in there, so that's not going to happen. For the Chargers, though, they're kind of starting to come back to earth. I think they looked like a dark horse for a bit, and now they're just not. They don't have enough playmakers. Dobbins out. There's definitely some concerns there on offense. They still have a good defense, but they kind of got walloped in this game. How about you?
Yeah, basically I agree with what you said there. Chargers had some momentum building. The defense have been playing really well, and even with a lack of offensive options, Lad McConkey had been stepping up. He had a decent game. But without Dobbins, and there's only so much Herbert can do. Basically, at the end of the day, got out yardaged by like 300 yards. It was 506 to 206. So you're not going to win many games when that's the case, especially a team that is physical, relies on their defense. So it'd be interesting to see, Chargers if they can bounce back, get some people healthy, and just put some points on the board to help that D out, because it's tough playing D when you're always out there. You get tired, and just you get exposed. So that kind of wraps up, Sunday afternoon. Um, Sunday night game. We had the Packers scoring 30, the Hawks scoring 13. What'd you think about that one?
Yeah, I mean the Packers continue to look like a scary team. Jake, especially with Josh Jacobs, man, he has been a revelation for you guys. So, you don't always have to rely on the arm of Jordan Love, and sometimes he can make poor decisions or be a little too sporadic with his throws. But yeah, I think this was a pretty impressive win for you guys.
Agreed. And Josh Jacobs on that first drive just set the tone early. There's really no answer for him on that. I think he ran for 40, caught 30 more, ended it with a touchdown. Um, Jordan Love was really accurate. Start the game, I want to say he was like 11 for 12, just getting the ball in the hands of those playmakers. They have a lot of them. There's no Justin Jefferson on the team, but they have, 4 or 5 guys that can all make plays, all contribute. And when you're able to run the ball so efficiently, first and second down, and just keep them guessing with the Jaden Reed end around, stuff like that, it's just tough to defend. Guess another big thing is defense is starting to get healthy. Jair should be back this week. Edgerrin Cooper won the Defensive Player of the Week. That's a rookie middle linebacker just making a ton of plays out there for him. They missed him the last couple of weeks. He's going to be a force going forward. And I think it was just a really good, convincing win on the road at night, in a tough place to play like Seattle. So optimistic going forward. Monday night, we had 2 games. The first, Vikings 30, Bears 12. Talk to me about that one.
Yeah, so the first quarter started off pretty impressively for the Vikings. JJ scores a touchdown on a slant across the middle, and I think what well, JJ, the issue is that JJ dropped a touchdown and then we kind of got out of our flow of the offense. Also, Sam Darnold hit his hand on the back of one of his linemen, which is never a good feeling. I think he's been having some problems with his pinky. So my only concern here is like when the Vikes are rolling on offense, they're scary for sure. But when JJ dropped that touchdown, it definitely kind of we took a step back. We then go for it on fourth down. Darnold ends up just having to escape the pocket, really just has to throw up a Hail Mary ball to see if someone can come down with it, and it gets picked off, and that kind of that wasn't the most impressive part of the game, but we took it to the Bears still. It was our defense just absolutely took advantage of that offensive line on the Bears, and Caleb Williams looked horrible. It's pretty sad, dumpster fire for the Bears, but I do think the Vikings, they seem to play up or down to their opponents sometimes. I think these last couple of weeks they've started to kind of have some more convincing wins here.
Yeah,
How
I
about
guess
you?
one thing that sticks out to me, Bears last 3 games are losing 53 to 0. So, I mean, how are you going to come back from that? At the same time, the second half was a much better showing out of them. They were able to score a couple points. Vikings offense is not convincing me of anything. They're struggling. Darnold's been making some interesting decisions. It's kind of with the ball, what he's doing. I mean, 24 of 40. They're throwing the ball 40 times. A lot. Aaron Jones looks slower, but you know, is what it is. See if the Vikings, they play Seattle this week, Packers and Lions, so it's a 3 game stretch where it's gonna be tough. So see
I
how they
think it'll be. I mean, I guess your statements are fair. I think it'll be very telling though when we play you guys, and you guys have to come to the U.S. Bank. So I don't know.
Agreed.
I'd say watch out. I understand where you're coming from with some of your comments here about their offense, but um, you know, Darnold is still he's got 29 touchdowns, 11 picks on the season. I mean, I wouldn't say that's bad at all. It's Sam Darnold, dude. Like you got to be impressed in my opinion, but
I'm impressed with him. Don't get me wrong. I mean, the Vikings are better than everyone thought they'd be at the start of the year, but just that kind of performance, against a Bears team that's not very good, um, squeaking out some wins before that. I know they beat the Falcons handily, but that Falcons team we talked about at length is a dumpster fire. And that game also was, a 21-28 game until a fumbled kickoff. So we'll see. Like I said, I mean, they have the record and winning games in the NFL is what matters at the end of the day. So next three games will be telling for them, in my opinion. Um, and then the other,
week 17 will be interesting.
yeah, I'll be there. I know what happened last time the Packers went to US Bank. So
Okay. Starting a fucking third string practice squad quarterback.
mhm.
But yeah, that was the worst. That was the worst way to kick off my New Year's. All right,
Falcons 15, Raiders 9 was the other Monday night game. I mean, if you really watched any of this, besides the end when the Vikings Bears game was over, seek help. But what did you see there?
yeah. I didn't watch any of this game. Vikings were on. I wasn't going to waste my time with Falcons Raiders, but my question for you is Kirk's career over in Atlanta, or does it still depend on the play of Penix?
I think they're going to let Penix run the rest of the year. Maybe next year, Kirk gets a whole another year of trying to get healthy. It looks like he's, still a little suffering from it a little bit. So maybe, he is playing hurt. Maybe they do just need to give him a break. I mean, you can't cut him next year. Like I said, 60 million dead cap. Um, so, I mean, worst case, let him play out next year. Bring Penix in, for some package stuff. I don't know what their plan is. Um, but then the following year, get rid of him. So we'll see. Also, I mean, there's a lot of teams out there that could use a QB. I don't know if they want to pay that much,
Right.
but is that an option for a team that, can't get a top 10 pick, that is in search of a QB? Who knows?
It is very confusing to me that Kirk started the year off kind of hot and was able to. Well, I mean, it actually isn't confusing to me because I've seen this before where he just has terrible games. But this has been a really bad stretch. I mean, one touchdown, nine interceptions in your last five. Eat
Yeah, and if you
eat bench, dog. Like eat
if you remember
bench.
the first couple games though, he didn't look very good. The Falcons really struggled. And then
True, the first couple.
there's a
Yeah,
bump like weeks 3 through 5. Or I
he
guess
had a
week 2 he led that comeback against the
he
Eagles.
had a couple game winning comeback drives. Kind of looked like that might have been Kirk Tober though. I mean, he's nice in October, but yeah, he's really fallen off here, and it's just they paid him so much money. I don't know what the hell they were thinking, but you got too many weapons to be that bad on offense.
Yeah. And the big thing is um, Raiders got a extra point blocked at cover. Falcons were 5.5 point favorites and in a 6 point game. That's crazy. You always got to think when games are in Vegas that, everyone there knows what's going on, how big it is. Um, and also like where was Brock Bowers? Like where's he been? Desmond Ridder, he's right next to you. He's plays tight end. He's close to the line of scrimmage. Just give him the
Yeah,
ball. Just give him the ball.
right. I think that's more on the quarterback, and I think Minshew and Bowers had um, a little more chemistry, perhaps even AOC. But yeah, with Ritter now, I don't know. Hopefully he comes back because I got him in two fantasy round two playoff games. So I need you, Brock.
So that was week 15. Not a lot going on in week 16. Got a couple games highlighted here. Why don't we just do a little bit of a preview, on some of the more must-watch games coming up here. I guess the first one that caught my attention was, Vikings Seahawks and how that will play out for the NFC seeding. And Vikings are going to Seattle. It's a tough place to play. The Packers just went there and won convincingly. I haven't heard anything on
I
Geno. I don't know if he's playing or not.
think
That'll definitely
he's
be
in. He
he
should
is
be
in.
in. Yeah.
So Vikings or Seahawks need to
Also,
win.
yeah, fair enough. I'm not super concerned about this game. I like the Vikings here. I mean, it'll be interesting to see if we go in there and beat them as convincingly as the Packers did, because you guys really took it to them on Sunday night. But I think our defense gets after Geno. I think we have a little bit of a comeback too, as far as hopefully Darnold plays a little bit better, and then we honestly didn't even use the run game that much against, like, when we really started to beat the Bears convincingly. It was because we unlocked the run game a little bit with Aaron Jones, and so it'd be nice to see the run game do better and the offense just look better as a whole. But the defense looks solid, and I think we'll get after Geno Smith.
Lions, Bears, just NFC North interest here. How do the Lions come back after losing Montgomery, all the injuries, just kind of, getting the brakes beat off them. And just, are the Bears going to ever show, some life here this season? I mean, I'm cheering for the Bears here. Hope they can, beat the Lions and make it a little more interesting in the NFC North. But what are you looking for in that one?
I want to say, that the Bears are going to come out and have a bounce back game after how brutal their offense was against the Vikings, especially going against a absolutely torn apart Lions defense. But I just don't see it, dude. I just don't see it. I think the Bears, their confidence is gone. Nobody is clicking. Like, even when Caleb Williams has some chemistry, seems like with Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen had tons of drops in that game against the Vikings. Like, he looks old. He's still got hands and playmaking ability, but I don't know. I just think the Lions, if they're able to go down and score right away, it just puts pressure on the Bears, and they can't do anything, dude. Their line is so bad. So
I
I
think this is
I
going to be a better game just simply because it's in Chicago. It's going to be cold. You know how Goff plays in the cold. Um, and it's just they're not going to be able to play that same sort of football that they would with Montgomery, where it's just, beat you up, give it to Jameer, beat you up, give it to Jameer. Um, also is Caleb Williams going to be able to play in the cold? We'll see. But I just think, when it gets cold, anything can happen in a lot of these games, especially when, say, the Bears score, Detroit's got to throw the ball a bunch, and just people get hurt, stuff happens. So I think that's just it's a little more interesting for sure because it's in Chicago. And I mean, they when they played on Thanksgiving, it was a Eberflus masterclass, but still, Bears kept it close at least. So, um,
agree.
Chiefs Chiefs Texans is another one I'm interested in. Just seeing how Mahomes plays if he does play. Seeing they got to win to keep the 1 seed, and just seeing how the Texans bounce back. They've just not been playing good football. I know they beat the Dolphins, but outside of that, that was off a bye as well. So how are they going to play a good Chiefs defense? And is CJ Stroud going to show some signs of his rookie year again at some point?
Yeah, I think you pretty much said it all. The concern here is Mahomes going to play in this game, or is it going to be a Wentz masterclass? No, I don't know yet what's going to happen. It seems like it's pointing towards signs he's going to play. I still think it's up in the air, but yeah, it would be nice to see CJ Stroud from his rookie year. He has struggled a little bit this year. I know he's had some receivers out, and I don't think their O line is all that great, but it is an interesting game here. That is one that I'll be paying attention to, and have a little bit on riding on that in fantasy as well.
Next, we got Steelers Ravens. I know TJ Watt went down last game. I don't know what his status is. It's a big loss for that D. Ravens at home, they lost the first game. I think they come out here and I think they want to, make a statement at home. Um, right now it's, Ravens by 6.5, so they're favored to win decently big. And I think just losing Watt is the heart and soul. You make so much happen. I mean, he can literally change a game, leads the league in forced fumbles, second in sacks, so just not having that weapon on your defensive line, especially with someone like Lamar who can change the game by himself as well. So I really like the Ravens here. trying to move up and even win the division over there. So what do you think?
Lamar has to show up in this game, and the Ravens have to win this game, dude, because they have not played the Steelers well ever. I think Lamar is 1-4 against them in his career, might be 1-5 now, or after this week it will be. If he doesn't play well, I know Steelers didn't look quite up to their expectations last week, but this is a Lamar kryptonite game. So is he going to come out and show up, or is he going to kind of continue his path of doing weird shit against the Steelers and not playing up to his potential? So that's what I am interested in this game. It is going to be a really good game. I think this is probably the game of the week on Fox. So
And last one, just with playoff implications here, Eagles Commanders. Eagles are going to Washington. Um, they came off a couple big games. Are they due for a letdown, or are they gonna be able to, kind of just keep the train going? Commanders really need to win this one to make the playoffs, or it gets, kind of hairy for them. So I guess that's what I'm seeing here. And what are you looking for here?
yeah, this is an interesting game. Obviously a NFC East rivalry game here. Maybe a bit of a trap game for the Eagles. They've had some big wins as of late. I think this is probably going to be a pretty close game. Of course, I want the Eagles to lose to help out the Vikings playoff seeding, but um, yeah, I still like the Eagles here, but I know the Commanders need a win. It just kind of if can the Commanders beat a team that's above 500 is a big question mark to me. So definitely an interesting game to watch.
Agreed. Do you want to kind of talk about who you think, top five is? And
Yeah. For my top five, in order, I have the Eagles at number one. I can't remember. I think they've won either 11 or 12 straight, but they just look very well rounded. They don't even have to throw the ball, which is a huge bonus in order to, win games because their defense is absolutely electric and extremely dominant right now. Um, and their offense is, with Saquon is just kind of foolproof. So, got the Eagles at one. I got the Bills at two, just because of honestly Josh Allen, like Josh Allen, and then also having James Cook's a huge bonus. But Josh Allen's an MVP right now. I don't think that's really up for question either. I'd put him solid. I would just probably hand him the trophy at this point, unless he were to do something crazy in these last couple weeks here, or last few weeks. But Bills at two, Chiefs at three. I think as much as you want to hate on the Chiefs, I mean they just don't lose, and they looked more impressive this last week. Mahomes now has a high ankle sprain, which isn't great. But it seems like he always has a high ankle sprain when it comes to December. I feel like every year in the last few years they've won the Super Bowl. He's had a high ankle sprain. So, and then I'm going to go Vikings at four. The Vikings continue to win 12-2. I think the record speaks for itself. I don't want to hear anyone bitch about us not playing opponents that are as good as the Lions. I saw a tweet about that and I was like, we play like almost the exact same schedule. And yeah, I mean, I think the Vikings have a good defense. Their defense is really starting to become an identity for them. Definitely a bit of bend, don't break at times. We do give up some yards, but we've had a turnover in every single game this season. I love to see that. Blake Cashman been playing super well. I think we're undefeated with him out there. Um, and Jonathan Grenard, Van Ginkel, like those three free agency signings were huge for us. But yeah, just to round out the top five, then I got the Packers in there because they had a very convincing win against the Seahawks, and I just think I think honestly the Lions would probably be at six for me, and you could kind of move those around a little bit, but yeah, that's my top five. What do you have?
I'm taking the Bills at number one. I think recently, um, they've just had, some better wins than the Eagles. I know the Eagles just beat the Steelers and the Ravens. Um, Outside of that, their schedule has been really a cakewalk. Not a lot of good wins on there. They're playing a horrible conference. So, want to see how they fare. You just if they can get the one seed, have some convincing wins these last 3 weeks, to get that bye, I think that would be huge for them. Um, but I think it's Bills and Eagles, and I think the Chiefs are up there. I know Mahomes is doing his thing, but like just nobody wants to play him when it matters. They'll win, they can win any type of game. They could, win a 6-3 game, win a 24-31 game, they have the team to kind of do whatever. After that, I'm taking the Packers. Offense looks really, really good. They're the fourth best offense in the league right now. And the defenses are playing well, even without Jair. Edgerrin Cooper's back, who is a superstar, who's the player of the week. Um, and he missed a couple games. We missed him a lot. So he's back. The defensive line has played really well. I don't know, they had like 5 or 6 sacks. Um, and just really gave Geno no chance. And that game was over, after Josh Jacobs just went for 80 yards in the first drive. And then I'm gonna take it's a coin flip between Lions and Vikings after that. Lions dealing with a lot of injuries. Vikings, like I said, I'm just not convinced in that offense at all. It's they have talent at the wideout position. Aaron Jones looks old. And Darnold, he went for 5 touchdowns last week. We talked about it. Two of them were just the Falcons giving him touchdowns, and then, I mean, you got the two superstar wide receivers. So they're dangerous, but I just don't see, they're containable. They got the 12th offense right now, um, 13th defense. So they're right middle of the pack. They're not great at anything. Do like their coach though. I think he's a good coach, Kevin O'Connell. Getting him to that record kind of with what he's working with, but um, you know, bend don't break kind of only lasts for so long in the NFL. So that's how I'm doing it right now. That wraps up kind of, there's some other games going on. Not a lot of interest. I know the Packers are playing the Saints on Monday night, currently 14-point favorites. They're going to blow them out. Outside of that, I think I kind of talked about what I was looking to talk about in the NFL Week 16. You want to move on, talk about some college football now?
Yeah, let's switch it up, get into these college football playoff games. I'm excited for this, man.
Deal. So let's start the game Friday night. We got Notre Dame and Indiana. Winners playing Georgia. Um, I have Notre Dame to actually win the college football playoff. Just a dark horse for me. I think they're really talented. They lost to NIU earlier this year. Outside of that, they've been playing really good football. Um, Blew out Army, beat USC recently. They're coming in hot. I really like their coach, Freeman. He seems to get it. Um, Indiana, I think, is just riding a hype train for the most part. They didn't play anybody. They played somebody finally. They got blown out. Um, I think they deserve to make it based on what they did in the regular season, but at the same time, they're just not in the same tier. I think they're arguably the worst team in the college football playoff. So I'm taking Notre Dame here. Like I said, I'm taking them to win it. I know playing Georgia next is tough, but we I don't even know if Carson Beck's playing, and even if he is, it might be better without him. So, do you have any thoughts on that one?
No, I agree with you. Yeah, no, I don't have any major takeaways from this. I'm definitely going to be watching. It's now college football. It's time to lock into college football, 100%. So, I'm not the most avid viewer as you are. I know you bet on a lot of these games, but I'm excited to see the new format, and I'm excited to really learn more about some of these teams.
Yeah. So that's the Friday night game into Saturday. The early game is going to be SMU and Penn State with the winner playing Boise. I think Penn State here is just really a much better, deeper football team. It's going to be cold. It's going to be, tough weather. SMU's obviously in Texas. They're not used to it. And I think Penn State just takes care of business here. Line's 8.5. I think it could be a 14-21 point Penn State game here. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really trust Penn State that. I mean, I don't really trust Penn State that much, to be honest. I could see this being a closer game than what the line shows, but SMU is kind of hot. I know they had a heartbreaking loss in the championship game a couple weeks ago, but yeah, I still think Penn State probably wins, but I do think it's a closer game than people think right now.
We got Ohio State and Tennessee winners moving to Oregon. This is at Ohio State. I think that gives them a little bit of an advantage. I do like Tennessee here, though. Ohio State offensive line is just really weak. They're not getting great quarterback play. Um, they're struggling on offense just in general. I know they have superstars, but they just haven't been able to give them the ball. They're coming off a horrible loss to Michigan. Um, I think they're kind of defeated. On the other hand, Tennessee's coming in, just happy to be there. Um, Young QB looking to kind of, just make a statement on national TV here, and I do think they, I do think Tennessee is gonna pull off the upset here.
Really? Yeah, I mean, I think that Ohio State has to win the championship essentially to guarantee that Ryan Day even stays or is able to stay at Ohio State. I think there's a chance he loses his job if they fumble this. But yeah, I think a lot of people have concerns about Ohio State and their offense, especially in my opinion. It'll be interesting to see. They were favored to win, the college football championship, but after that Michigan loss, everything's up in the air here. So they need to get back to their basics and back to what they're good at, in my opinion. Get rolling again, but we'll see.
Final game is Texas and Clemson. Winners playing Arizona State. Um, this is a really interesting one to me. Clemson's coming in hot. They played teams really well all year. They're not, the most glamorous team out there, but they have experience with Dabo. And Texas is just, they're always known to just not show up in those big games when it matters most. Um, Clemson's two losses this year are to SEC teams. They lost to Georgia. They lost to South Carolina, who's been playing really good football, and a lot of people thought, they might even be deserving of a spot. Clemson ended up winning that tough game against SMU. Um, and I do like Klubnik. I think he's a pretty good option at quarterback with a lot of experience. He's been playing really well this year. 33 touchdowns, 5 picks. On the other side, I mean, Texas, has all the playmakers in the world, all the talent in the world. Um, it's interesting too because the line had opened at 10.5 by Texas and it's been moving. It's now 12 by Texas. I don't know if that's just, all the Texas fans just dumping money on them. But in terms of talent, Texas should win this game. I don't know if they'll cover that. It's a large number, especially with Dabo, all the experience he has and just their ability to compete and just, think they make it close at least. Kind of what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think if all goes to plan, Texas should win this game very convincingly. However, I think they have a lot of pressure on them and they have to show up. So they haven't showed up against in really any big games this year and haven't been able to pull them out. But I do think if everything goes to plan, this game shouldn't even be close. But I am curious to see. I don't know too much about Clemson, but I know, like you said, they've been playing good football as of late, and I think they are coming off a pretty big win here in the ACC championship. So.
Yeah, I mean, Texas, two losses this year to Georgia. Outside of that, they haven't played anyone great. They played Michigan when they were ranked 10, but we all know how Michigan really was. They beat Oklahoma, who also is not a very good football team, 6-6. So they just really haven't been tested, and when they have been, they lost. So I think there's a ton of pressure on them to kind of, make that next step. And last year they lost in the opener of the college football playoff as well. Um, so I think there's a ton of pressure on them. They have more talent, but you know, these are winner go home games, and I think that can kind of get to some people.
For sure. Yeah. Exciting slate here, but yeah, that pretty much wraps it up, I think, unless we got anything else.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have any more final thoughts. I did just see looks like Mahomes is gonna play. Looks like they're gonna activate Hollywood Brown. So getting him a weapon. Um, and it looks like TJ Watt says he feels good, but looks like he's gonna be a game time decision. So you know, I don't like them winning that game without him. I think he's such a pivotal part of that team. So
Yeah, that's fair enough. I guess the only other thing I would have to add is there is a big matchup tonight in NBA. Wolves play the Knicks. Karl Anthony Towns playing against his former team. Little nervous about this game. Cat has been a absolute beast. Honestly, top 15, top 10 player even potentially this year. I'd probably go top 15, but yeah, he's looked really good. I know they're without Mitchell Robinson, excuse me. And the Wolves have looked a little shaky to start. However, they seem to have caught their footing here. But I am very curious what Carl is going to do in this game and just what the vibes are going to be. I think it's going to be an emotional game for him. So
cool. Yeah, I'll definitely be watching that one. Um, I guess that's all I had. So if you made it this far, thanks for listening. We appreciate it. Look for Borderline Sports to start, getting some shorts out there, some more content for you guys. But either way, hope you enjoyed. Peace.
yeah, appreciate you guys. Peace.